Do you know the tragic tale of Padlock, the ship between two puppets from 2014? Well, some of you were there. I know you were. I know you're watching this and you remember. And you either enjoyed it immensely or suffered greatly, like me. This is the most niche topic I will ever cover, but someone has to remember it. Someone has to remember it so you don't have to. So, y'all know I really like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. I can't imagine how anyone could have guessed that. Well, I joined this fandom because everything's a fandom way back in the year of 2012 when I was like 18. I discovered it through gift sets on Tumblr, and this is the tale of how that Tumblr took this social commentary horror puppet show and made it into ultra sexy anime skinny Tim Burton style murder ship. See, it was announced at the end of 2013 that we'd be getting a Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared too. The immediate response was, but I thought we agreed never to be creative again. It was funny once. And only once. Then, in the earliest days of 2014, we got Mr. Noodle Limb Clockman, and the internet collectively fucking creamed its jeans. We found out through an interview with Becky Sloan that his name was Tony the Talking Clock. How cute. See, and then Tumblr realized it needed to ship, like, they needed fucking oxygen. So they have collectively decided that this sketchbook and this clock, who have never once spoken to each other, are deeply in love. And you know what? That's fine. Ain't no harm in this. Just some assholes in love. That's fine. So the popularity of 2 kind of saw a resurgence in the popularity of 1. The ship was dubbed Padlock. See, because it's like, it's a notepad and a clock. I assume the padlock tag was subsequently ruined for lock enthusiasts. Anyway, everyone was very attracted to Tony, and they wanted to have sex with him, because he is a fucking skinny, posh British nerd in a bow tie who liked time, and I can't imagine why that was popular with Tumblr all those years ago. But problem is, see, he's a clock made of cardboard and fleece, and that's not something you want to perform sexual acts on, nor do you want it performing sexual acts on you, unless you're brave enough, but most of you were fucking cowards. So, you practice the time-honored tradition of gajinkas. If you don't know what a gajinka is, I think it's a Japanese term. If it's not, I feel very racist. It means you're making, like, non-humans into humans. And usually they're sexy. Now, I'm not here to stifle anyone's creativity, because that's wrong. But I feel like a lot of those humanizations of Tony were maybe too flattering. We had a lot of human sketchbook and Tony flying around is my point. And even some red, yellow, and duck when people remember they existed. And then it happened. The gajinka to end all gajinkas. The thing that would flood the tag back when that was a thing you could track easily and make it nigh impossible to enjoy the social commentary creepy puppet show. An artist who now goes by the username Katabura, I assume I pronounced that right, I am flawless, drew them. You know, probably just for fun. And my god, what happened next? I know nothing about the artist personally, but I looked through their profile, their Tumblr recently. They seem fine from what I've looked at. Their art is actually incredibly beautiful and clean, and they appear to work professionally now. I guess having moved on from all the Padlock, because you can't really just ride that for 6 years. I would, because I have nothing going on, but I want to make it clear that I mean this artist no ill will. I'm not here to shit on their art. It's actually very nice. Nor do I want the comments section to do so, or anyone to go on their Tumblr and be like, lol, remember Padlock? This fucking nobody on YouTube made an overly long video about the resulting chaos of you just having a good time making art. I just want to talk about the resulting nuclear explosion that they never could have predicted when they posted one entire drawing. This ain't about the artist, but I do want to credit the artist because this wouldn't have happened without them. This is about fandom and what they did with one entire picture. And what was shocking to me when I looked up this original drawing is it has just under 80,000 notes. Usually things that really penetrate Tumblr mainstream have a lot more notes than that. So, I get the terrible feeling that the artist didn't get credited very often, and a giant number of people don't even know where these things came from. It just bored its way into the fandom consciousness like some kind of non-art crediting edgy brainworm. One explanation I've been given is that a user, who I don't even know if I should bring up their username, drew some comics using the designs that got almost 200,000 notes each, and back in 2014 that was definitely enough to penetrate Tumblr hard with no lube. And it really set their edgy-ass personalities in stone. Neither comic credited the original artist. I assume because, that thing was so popular that, everybody knows who made it, right? And that's why I'm hesitant to even name this person. Like, I don't want to accidentally go and insult someone and call them out for not crediting an artist and perpetuating a fucked up murder ship from, 6 years ago. It feels rude. So if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. And if you weren't and you find this artist, don't talk to them about this. Let's keep this between us. Conversely, if you are the artist of those two comics that I will be making crude recreations of, because I don't really want to use any actual art in this video, or I'm going to use very little. If you're that artist and you want to be credited, yeah, that was me, I'll edit it and put you in the description. So, yeah, that kind of started a lot, I think. At least that's what the theory is. And I remember seeing these two comics a lot, so that checks out in my book. So, in 2014, for 2 months, let's be generous and say it was 2 entire months, from late January and then petering off in late March. From what I can remember, DHMIS ceased to be a social commentary creepy puppet show and became ultra sexy skinny anime Tim Burton murder ship, to the point where Sketchy and Tony were basically different characters. Now, okay, I know I said I don't want to shit on this person's art who made the original designs, but I am allowed to voice personal taste. I'm not gonna be like, these fucking suck, because they don't. They in a bubble, they're fine. It's just the resulting disaster that, makes them put a bad taste in my mouth. That's all. In a vacuum, they're fine. They're fine. But here's my personal taste on these designs. Sketchbook. Fashion disaster. There's no rhyme or reason for that dress. It's just a white frock with some patches on it. Just wherever. There's no reason. There's no pattern. It's a terrible dress. sense. You have no fashion sense, sketchbook. The skinny, sexy lady design overall doesn't really invoke adorable Becky Sloan voice sketchbook puppet to me.
I use my head to express myself.
Tony is maybe a little better, but still a bit too flattering for this nerd asshole. I think the suit is pretty, like, it's like all spacey, and I think it's like just it's aesthetic. It's good aesthetic. It invokes Tony a little more than skinny bitch over here invokes sketchbook, but I don't know if I'd really look at it and immediately think Tony. I don't know. He just looks too damn conventionally attractive to be Noodle Clock over here. And my biggest peeve here is lack of mustache. Like, why are the clock hands a face tattoo? He's a man clock, and man clocks always have their clock hands represent a mustache. He's a fancy British dork. Of course he's an asshole with a mustache. See, to me, they look more like they were edgy cosplayers at KatsuCon who stayed up till 3 a.m. sewing their cosplay in their hotel room, and then they got up at 8 a.m. to pick up their pass because they totally forgot to do it last night, and now it's midnight, and they were very much at the bar and got a free shot from someone they did not know, and it was spiked with LSD, and now they can only speak in quotes they remember as they are trying desperately to attempt to interact with people who just want to talk about their fandom and how much they like their cosplay. So it began. People really like these designs, and the fan art flowed in like somebody just dynamited a Tumblr fan art dam. And I remember them all, crediting the original artist when it started out, but as more and more art flooded into the small town of the DHMIS tag, those credits started becoming less and less, and I guess everyone just assumed everyone else knew who drew it, but they did not. Sketchbook didn't have a real people name like Tony did, so the fandom dubbed her Paige, which is now how I will be referring to skinny bitch sketchbook here. Apologies to the skinny bitches in my audience. I'd say it was a cute idea if I didn't have so many annoying memories attached to it, and Paige and Tony's love quickly became a scary love. See, these characters kind of got interpreted as sort of these stereotypical cliche blood psychopaths. Like, they got off on stabbing each other, like one of those 200,000 Notes comics, like they're just stabbing each other, and then they I think there was a follow-up post where they came back and they just repeatedly kill each other, and that's fun for them. And Tony acquired a clock hand sword that he eviscerated Paige with. I assume it eviscerated many of Paige's orifices. And I think Paige stabbed Tony with her giant pencil, or just straight up had a fucking knife, and they'd proceed to make out. Guys, I don't want to alarm you, but you might be in a mutually abusive relationship. So, just going off mostly my memory, here are some things I saw people make Paige and Tony do. Quote the video at each other while they stab each other in the hearts. Have sex on the living room floor while Tony rots the main trio alive and Paige gets off on it. Fight a humanized book and pen in an anime-style battle, completely hijacking this post from 2012, by the way, in which Tony can transform into a sword and the pen can transform into a magical arrow. And just a lot of blood and murder and stabbing and making out, and shirtless Tony. We had tattoos, see? I really hate to sound like a fandom gatekeeper, believe me, I hate those people, but it feels like a lot of people who wanted to draw sexy psycho Paige and Tony either didn't feel like watching Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, or just didn't know it existed. I saw on a Headcanons blog once, somebody said they headcanon Paige with an Irish accent.
Whoa there, friend, you might need to slow down.
To watch these shorts took like an entire 6 minutes, as there were only 2 at the time. I can only assume people just straight up didn't know that there were shorts and just thought this was something someone made up, and it just really caught on. I made that joke about them looking like Katsucon cosplayers earlier, but actually at Katsucon 2014, in February, in the midst of all of this, I did see a fair amount of Paige and Tony cosplayers, and they got a fair amount of attention. Not for me, though, because I was a sad, bitter little 20-year-old, and I was like, no, I don't like me. There was and it's like, I could have had conversations with these people, like, oh, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, that's fucking awesome, I love that series, and, like, they probably liked it, too. But I was a fucking child, I guess. There was some other ones at Otakon the same year, after this sort of petered off, but hey, a lot of people still had cosplays from, like, February. And I did interact with them. I guess I really matured in those months. They seemed tired. They took a few liberties on the designs that I think were actually improvements. For example, one sketchbook cosplayer didn't have the intestines petticoat, and didn't have splotched on pictures of stuff from the episode all over her dress. And oh my god, it looked like so much cleaner and appealing. I also think the overall look of the person cosplaying also helped. She was pretty short and wasn't mugging for the camera with over-the-top crazy expressions. It felt more sketchbook to me. I'm like, yes, that's who you're cosplaying as. One of the Tony cosplayers even had a mustache, which made me feel validated. So eventually this whole flood of ultra sexy skinny anime Tim Burton murder sadomasochist murdered ship sort of died off as people realized that this was all there is, and they only really cared about sexy time murders and seemingly weren't terribly interested in the social commentary about how people tell you that there's a right and wrong way to be creative and dictate what exactly is and isn't a waste of time, and ultimately likely a message about blind conformity and how the masses discourage independent thought and norms being questioned. Also, remember how the swastika on Duxman's chart there used to, just kind of be funny, because obviously nothing about this chart made sense, and it was like a light shock humor thing, and now it's a lot less funny and bores deep into reality and how safe, literal fucking Nazis feel about coming out of the woodwork, and how we all have to deal with actual fascism. And I'm pretty sure the pilot for the TV series is about fear-mongering politics, so that's fun. The Kickstarter happened. The Katabura, I think I'm pronouncing that right, did make a picture of Paige and Tony, being like, hey, donate to this. And, thank you for that. And by 3, I mean, people did make Shrignald Gajinkas, but it was, like, it wasn't every post. It was, like, every 10 posts. And it was just gone by October of the same year. It was just not the cool thing anymore. And, okay, and I don't want to shame anybody who just liked this and not actual Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Like, if puppet social commentary isn't your cup of tea and you just like sexy time murders, you do you. I'm not here to shame you. I think it's just a shame that a seemingly giant amount of people at the time didn't know where these characters came from, seemingly, and if they did find out, it was probably such a far cry from what they expected, it ultimately didn't interest them. I just think next time you want to do some sexy sadomasochism, maybe use some characters that are more tailored to that sort of thing and not the social commentary puppets. I'm sure there's tons of gory anime that you can do that with. an animated show about some gay demons that I don't even want to begin discussing because it is such a nuclear waste dump. And that seems tailor-made for that shit. So if you're into that, you know, hey, the gay demons can stab each other all day. Or you could be even extra ambitious and make some OCs. Like, they can look like whatever you want. They can be sexy as fuck. The closest possible thing I can think to compare this to is when Portal 2 came out, and robots are hard to draw, I guess, so everyone was drawing human Wheatley and sexy GLaDOS. But at least from what I saw, they kept their personalities and weren't just constantly having murder sex. Like, I think Wheatley was mostly shipped with Chell, and, you know, he was just like a cute idiot who looked like Stephen Merchant. Unless you want to count Wheat Cest, but one fucking insane thing at a time, I guess. I don't think I could do a history video on that thing, but it was just, if you are a Tumblr historian, you know what one cest is, and it was the same thing but with Wheatley and Wheat Dose, you know, when he was in GLaDOS's body, evil Wheatley, and they were like fucking each other, and I like followed somebody at the time, and I didn't know what Tumblr Savior was yet, so I did not have NSW like hidden, and I went to my dashboard one day and evil Wheatley had naked good Wheatley strung up with a like fully erect penis. This video's gonna have to be like 18 plus. Oh, I hate it. So okay, anyway. You'd think in the year of 2020, taking the crown from 2016 as worst year, but 2016 was still a historically horrible year. Let's not undermine that here. You'd think that Padlock would be done with. Who is left to even care about sexy, skinny anime, Tim Burton, sadomasochism, murder, fucking clock paper ship? Well, Instagram cosplayers, TikTokers apparently.
I'm not your girlfriend or the frightened princess. Quiet, Oma.
That's going away pretty soon for Americans. I never used TikTok, but thanks for taking away a website teenagers just liked having dumb fun on, you actual fucking fascist piece of sentient feces. Let's not do anything useful to help the countless suffering people during an actual pandemic perpetuated by your incompetence. Let's ban TikTok because China might be stealing our information about the lyrics to some Friendship is Witchcraft songs, I guess. Facebook can stay though. They only sell our information to Russia, who we all know is our best friend and also doesn't have a shit government. Anyway, I think I was talking about puppets. In conclusion, the start and height of this was in the span of a month and a half in the beginning of 2014. But it felt like 8 years, and it never truly ended. It lingers to this day, and it will never leave, no matter how safe you think you are. Anyway, fucking hyped about the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared TV series. I hope there's some way I can watch it in America, though with my luck, whatever means I'll have to watch it with will also get banned by Orange Man Bad, the fucking asshole. This video was brought to you by the mail. I've been really into cross-stitching lately. I ordered a big pack of thread by mail, so I didn't have to go out into pandemic land and pick out 100 colors individually. That didn't really help this channel at all, I mean, unless you'd be interested in a speed embroidery. But, support the mail, because it's apparently a privilege, not a right. Anyway, watch the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared TV show when it comes out. This is the most coherent video I've ever made. I don't know what you're talking about. I hope you had fun. Don't hug me, I'm scared, friends. Was it good for you too?